I'm Michael, 46 years old, and I've lived enough to know that betrayal doesn't always come from enemies. Sometimes it comes wearing your child's face. This morning, my eldest son, David, called to tell me I wasn't invited to his wedding, not because of something I'd done, but because his mother, my ex-wife, felt uncomfortable. That was her exact phrase. "Mom isn't comfortable with you being there," he said it casually, as if we were discussing the weather, not erasing me from the most important day of his life. I didn't shout. I didn't argue. I just sat there, listening to the same woman who had blown up our marriage 20 years ago somehow still managing to detonate my life from afar. David tried to soften the blow with a line that will probably echo in my head forever. "You'll get your chance at Noah's wedding." That was it. My consolation prize. A promise that someday, maybe, I could be a father again, on someone else's terms. When the call ended, I sat on the couch, motionless. The house was silent, but inside me, there was a roaring sound, a storm of disbelief and humiliation. "You need to understand something before you judge me. I raised those boys alone." Blair, my ex, left when David was 8 and Noah was 4. She didn't just walk out on me. She walked out on them. I remember the night clearly. To small boys sleeping upstairs, her suitcase by the door. Her face blank. She said she'd fallen out of love, that she needed to find herself. What she found, instead, was the man she'd been cheating on me with. An old college friend named Simon. She didn't even wake the boys to say goodbye. The next morning, David came downstairs in his pajamas asking where Mommy was. I said she went on a trip. He asked when she'd be back. I said I didn't know. Noah started crying. David tried to comfort him, and I went to the bathroom, shut the door, and screamed into a towel until my throat burned. After that, I did what fathers are supposed to do. I worked 2 jobs, 12-hour days, nights helping with homework, weekends cleaning the house, birthdays spent pretending things were okay. When Blair left, she didn't just break our marriage, she broke their childhood, and yet, somehow, she managed to come back years later like nothing had happened, showing up at David's college graduation, smiling, hugging him, calling herself mom again. I let it happen, because I believed forgiveness was strength. David wanted to reconnect. Fine. Noah wanted nothing to do with her. Also fine. I stayed out of it. I told myself I'd done my part, but today proved I was wrong. All those years of sacrifice, every late-night emergency, every scraped knee and broken heart, erased by one phone call. Mom's uncomfortable. It hit me harder than any punch I've ever taken. I thought about the wedding, the one I'd paid for, the reception hall Lena had dreamed of, the flowers, the band, the catering, all arranged under my name and my credit card. I'd done it all gladly, because it was my son's happiness. Now I realized I'd financed my own exclusion. That night, I sat in the dark, whiskey glass in hand, scrolling through old photos of David, his first bike, his first day of school, the time I stayed up all night sewing a costume for a school play because Blair had promised to do it and forgot. Every image felt like a punchline to a joke I didn't know I was in. Then I stopped scrolling, and I smiled. If I wasn't invited, then I didn't owe them anything. If my presence was such a problem, my money could be tomorrow. I would make some calls. Let's see how much my ex-wife enjoys her dream wedding without my bank account propping it up. The next morning, I woke up before sunrise. I didn't even bother with breakfast. I made a pot of black coffee, sat at my desk, and started dialing numbers. The first call was to the event hall, the Riverside Manor, the one my son's fiancée had fallen in love with the moment she saw it. The manager, a polite woman with a honeyed voice, answered. "Mr. Hayes, we were just about to confirm final details for the weekend." "Cancel it," I said flatly. There was a pause. "I'm sorry. You heard me. Cancel everything under my name." "But, sir, that's the reservation is non-refundable." "I'm aware." I took a sip of coffee, savoring the bitterness. "Keep the deposit. Cancel the date." Her voice faltered. "Sir, the wedding is only 3 days away. They'll lose the booking entirely." "I'm not invited to the wedding," I said calmly. "So there's no wedding as far as I'm concerned." She hesitated again, but I heard the quiet clack of her keyboard as she processed the cancellation. "Understood, Mr. Hayes. We'll finalize it now." "Thank you," I said, hanging up. Next was the florist, then the caterer, then the band. Every time I made a call, I felt something loosen in my chest. Not joy, not vindication, something quieter. The satisfaction of balance being restored. By the time I was done, I'd lost several thousand in non-refundable fees, but I didn't care. Money was replaceable. Self-respect was and single quotes T. By evening, I sat in silence, looking at my phone, wondering when David would realize what I'd done. It didn't take long. At noon the next day, my phone rang. His name flashed on the screen. I let it ring twice before answering. Dad. His voice was frantic. You need to fix this right now. The venue says the booking's been canceled. What happened? I stayed silent for a moment, letting him sweat. I canceled it. You what? You heard me. But why would you? It's your wedding. I interrupted. You invite who you want. You also pay for it. You can't do that. He snapped. Guests are arriving in hours. Everything's ruined. I leaned back in my chair, staring out the window. Ruined, I said softly. Now you know how it feels. Dad, this isn't fair. You're right, I said. It isn't. And then I hung up. It was the first time in 25 years that I'd hung up on my son. For a few seconds, I stared at my reflection in the dark phone screen. I didn't recognize the man looking back. Not because he was cold, but because for the first time in decades, he wasn't desperate to be loved. An hour later, my younger son, Noah, called. His voice was calm, almost amused. Dad, he said, did you really cancel everything? Yeah, he laughed, a genuine, belly-deep laugh that I hadn't heard since he was a kid. Good. I didn't want to go anyway. You sure about that? I've been sure since Mom said she'd be there. He paused for a moment, and when he spoke again, his voice softened. You did the right thing. Don't let anyone make you feel guilty about it. Thanks, kid. Anytime, he said. Now get some rest. You earned it. That night, while the rest of the city slept, I imagined the chaos that must have unfolded at that reception hall. My ex-wife panicking, my son scrambling, guests standing in the parking lot, confusion spreading like wildfire. For the first time since that humiliating phone call, I smiled. Sometimes, the only way to teach people gratitude is to remind them what it feels like when you stop giving. I didn't have to imagine the chaos for long. It came to me in the form of a dozen missed calls and a furious voicemails. David's first message was pure panic. Dad, please. The guests are here. They won't even let us in. What did you do? The second was rage. You ruined everything. Do you have any idea what you've done to me? To us? Then, finally, the message that made me laugh out loud. If you can rebook the venue in the next 2 hours, we'll let you come to the wedding. We'll let you come. The entitlement in that line told me everything I needed to know about who he'd become, a man molded by his mother's arrogance. I texted him back only 2 words. Ask her. After that, I turned off my phone. Later, Noah told me the rest. Apparently, Blair, my ex, had spent the afternoon arguing with the event manager, trying to force them to reinstate the reservation. When that didn't work, she tried bribing them, then threatening them, but the slot was already gone, booked for a political luncheon. By the time David realized there was no salvaging the day, guests had been redirected 3 times, first to a park, then to a community center, and finally, at the last minute, to Blair's backyard. Noah refused to go. He said, if you're not welcome there, neither am I. I didn't tell him. But hearing that meant more to me than anything I'd heard from either of them in years. By evening, my ex-wife's garden, a half-dead patch of grass and wilted roses, became the setting of what was supposed to be their dream wedding. Only a handful of guests showed up. Most had given up and gone home. The catering that was meant for a luxury venue didn't fit on the folding tables they dragged outside. The band never showed. The flowers, which I'd canceled, were replaced by supermarket arrangements. I heard all this secondhand through Noah, who got updates from friends who'd attended out of obligation. But the best part came later. That night. My phone buzzed. A message from David's new wife, Jenna. She wrote, I'm really disappointed. Mr. Hayes, you didn't even come. David's devastated. I thought family meant more to you. At first, I wanted to ignore it. Then I remembered she probably didn't even know the truth. So I replied, ask your husband why I wasn't invited. No more, no less. An hour later, Noah called, barely containing laughter. Dad, he said between chuckles, Jenna knows. Apparently, when she confronted David about it, the whole story spilled out. The phone call, the ban, the manipulation from Blair, and Jenna did not take it well. She'd been told I refused to attend out of spite, that I couldn't handle being in the same room as Blair. When she learned the truth, that I'd been banned, humiliated, and then blamed, she lost it. She called David selfish, immature, and spineless. She told him she never wanted to become one of those families. The argument lasted until dawn. By morning, word had spread. 2 weeks passed before I saw the next chapter of their mess unfold. And it didn't come through gossip this time. It came straight to my door. Jenna. She didn't text, didn't call, didn't even warn me. She just showed up on my porch one afternoon, standing there in jeans and a loose sweater, her hair unkempt, her eyes swollen like she hadn't slept in days. The glow she had before the wedding, that spark of excitement when she'd talk about plans, was gone. I invited her in, poured her a glass of water, and waited. She started softly. I didn't know. I swear I didn't know your ex-wife was behind everything. I never would have let her manipulate David like that if I had. Her voice cracked halfway through. She lied to me, Mr. Hayes. She told me you were unstable, that you'd make a scene if you came. She said you'd ruin the wedding out of jealousy. I sat there, silent, because what could I say? It's hard to comfort someone who's realizing, piece by piece, that they married into madness. Then she told me something that made my stomach turn. After I found out the truth and confronted David, she said, he told me he only did it to make his mom feel included, that she'd been left out of the family for too long. And this was her moment to shine. She let out a bitter laugh. He said she deserved it more than you did. I felt something shift in me then. Not anger this time, but disappointment so deep it almost felt quiet. She kept talking, her words tumbling out like she'd been holding them in for days. Your ex has poisoned everything, Jenna said. She tells David how to act, what to say, even how to talk to me. It's like he's married to both of us. I tried to stay detached, to not get pulled back into their orbit, but I couldn't help asking, and what are you going to do about it? I left, she said simply. I packed my bags last night and went back to my parents. I just couldn't do it anymore. Her voice trembled, but I still love him. I thought maybe you could talk to him, make him see what she's doing. I shook my head. Jenna, I'm sorry, but if I step in now, she'd twist it into something worse. She'd tell him I'm manipulating you both. She looked down at her hands, quiet for a moment. So that's it, you're giving up on him. I gave up trying to save people who don't want to be saved a long time ago, I said. He's a grown man now, he made his choice. Her lip quivered. I thought family meant more than that. It does, I said. That's why I'm not letting mine destroy me again. She nodded slowly. Then, before leaving, she said something I didn't expect. She's obsessed with you, you know. I frowned. Who? Blair, she said. She talks about you all the time. About how you've moved on, how you're dating someone younger, how you think you've won. She can't stand it. Everyone can tell she's jealous. That caught me off guard. Jealous, Jenna smiled sadly. It kills her that you're happy. That you got out and stayed out. After she left, I sat there for a long time, thinking about what she said. Maybe she was right. Maybe Blair wasn't satisfied with wrecking my past. Maybe she needed to wreck my peace too. And the cruelest part, she was using our son to do it. That night, I poured myself another drink and looked at the photo of David and Noah as kids, to little boys on a fishing dock, holding up their first catch, grinning ear to ear. Somewhere along the way, one of them had found his way home. The other was still drowning, clutching the hand of the woman who pushed him in. A year later, the consequences finally came knocking. Slow, inevitable, and cruel in the way only time can be. David and Jenna's marriage imploded exactly how I knew it would. It started with small fractures. Blair insisting on visiting, and us to check on them. David calling his mother for advice on everything from finances to arguments, and Jenna slowly fading into the background of her own marriage. By month 6, Blair had practically moved into their home. By month 9, Jenna was sleeping in the guest room. By month 12, she'd filed for divorce. I didn't hear any of this from David. Of course not. I heard it from Noah, who had tried, in his patient, calm way, to talk sense into his brother. According to him, David had become a shell of himself, paranoid, defensive, constantly talking about how family comes first, parroting the same lines Blair once used on me. When Noah told him their mother was manipulating him, David exploded. You've always been jealous, he shouted. You and Dad both. You hate her because she's the only one who ever told the truth. The truth, the same truth she told when she walked out onto toddlers in the middle of the night, leaving nothing but a note about needing to find herself. I asked Noah how it ended. He said. David looked at him, shaking with anger, and said, "You're Dad's favorite." You always have been. Noah's response was simple. If being his favorite means not lying to myself, I'll take it. After that, they stopped talking altogether. A few months later, I got an email, not from David, but from Simon. Yes, that's Simon, Blair's long-term boyfriend, the man who helped her destroy our marriage. He wrote, "I know you probably hate me, and I don't blame you. I just wanted to say I had no idea she was still holding this much resentment toward you. I've left her. She's become toxic beyond reason. She's obsessed with what you're doing, who you're seeing. It's not healthy." He mentioned she'd been telling everyone I was the reason David's marriage failed, that I'd poisoned both our sons against her. Then he added, almost as an afterthought, "I hope you know you've won. You got away." She never did. I didn't reply. Not because I didn't have anything to say, but because there was nothing left to say. Winning isn't always victory. Sometimes it's just survival. Blair's world was collapsing. Her marriage, her relationship with David, her reputation. Mine, on the other hand, was finally quiet. I'd started seeing someone seriously, a woman named Claire, younger than me, but with a maturity that made Blair look like a tantrum frozen in time. She didn't need rescuing. She didn't need fixing. She just fit. When Jenna later told me how often Blair mentioned Claire, mocking her, sneering about the age gap, I understood it for what it was. Jealousy, not because I'd replaced her, but because I'd done something she never could. I'd learned to be happy without destruction, so I kept my distance. No calls, no texts, no curiosity, let her drown in her own storm. I'd spent half my life trying to save her from herself, and all it ever did was pull me under to no more. 1 year to the day after David's wedding that wasn't. I woke up to the quietest morning of my life. No drama, no calls, no guilt, just silence and peace. It was supposed to have been their anniversary. Instead, it became the official date of their divorce. Blair had destroyed her son's marriage the same way she destroyed everything else she touched. Slowly, methodically, with a smile and a lie. According to Noah, she never left David's side after Jenna moved out. She cooked for him, managed his finances, showed up at his workplace, even answered his phone sometimes. She told anyone who would listen that she was making up for lost time. What she was really doing was turning her guilt into control, poisoning him with the same dependency she once fed me. Eventually, David broke too. His coworkers said he'd stopped showing up on time, that he'd lost focus, that his mother handled everything for him. When Jenna filed for divorce, Blair celebrated. "Now you'll finally be free of that girl who didn't appreciate you," she told him. But it didn't last. Simon? Yes, the same man she'd left me for, couldn't take it anymore and walked out. He told mutual friends she'd become unbearable, obsessed with rewriting history, trying to prove she hadn't failed as a mother, wife, or woman. By the time David realized what she'd done, it was too late. Jenna was gone. Simon was gone. And I was long gone. Noah still tried to help him. He met David for coffee once, hoping maybe there was a spark of his old brother left. He came back shaking his head. "He's gone, Dad. She broke him, and maybe she did. Or maybe he let her. Either way." I stopped asking myself how much more I could have done. At some point, you have to accept that saving someone who refuses to swim just means drowning beside them. So stop saving. Blair eventually disappeared from all our lives. Word was she moved to cities over, chasing some new version of Fresh Start. I didn't ask where. I didn't want to know. Noah comes by often. He loves Claire, genuinely loves her, and that's enough for me. Sometimes we sit in the backyard, grill steaks, talk about work and life, and the irony of how peace can feel so heavy when you first earn it. Last week, David called. He said he wanted to talk. To clear the air, I told him no, not because I hate him, but because I'm done being the one who does all the clearing while everyone else makes the mess. I raised my sons the best I could with what I had. I gave them love, education, and choices. What they did with those choices was theirs alone. I don't owe him a reconciliation. I already gave him everything else. So. No, I didn't fail as a father. I just learned the hardest truth parenthood can teach you. Sometimes, love means walking away and letting them learn pain on their own. Blair once told me I'd never be happy again without her. She was wrong. Happiness didn't come with revenge or validation. It came one quiet morning, coffee in my hand, Claire humming in the kitchen, Noah laughing in the backyard, a house without ghosts, a life without guilt. That's my revenge. That's my peace. The end.